Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It was 7:30. So let's get started. My name is Craig Peterman, volunteer at Badger Bots Robotics and PDP of the Wisconsin First Lego League program. And tonight we have our two head judge advisors with us, Brian Farrell and Brian Hicks. Our two referees are currently, head referees, excuse me, are currently busy, but we do expect Jay to jump on the call as soon as he is able to. So let's just jump right in. As you all know, as you came in, the call is being recorded. It will be up on our YouTube channel within a day or two. So the benefit of participating is that if you have any questions, you can actually ask them via chat, or we'll have opportunities to ask questions throughout the meeting. All right, so real quickly, want to start off with Explore. If there are any Explore coaches out there watching, if you saw in today's newsletter, we did list the Explore festivals that are currently on the docket, and we will open up the registration for teams in mid-October. So the first Explore event isn't until November 11th, and these events will go through the spring semester as well. So there's not a big hurry to do it. The window just remains open until the last event occurs, and they tell me we can't take any more. That's usually not until April. So if you are an Explore coach, I encourage you to pay attention to that list in the newsletters because it will most likely get longer as we add new events to it. But I at least wanted to let you all know that we're working on it, and some at least are set and being planned. So that's for the Explore program. I want to make a quick pitch for the couple of kids for the challenge program who are still looking for teams. I know some of you are very deep into the season already and doing your work, but for those of you that lose a participant, there are two kids that would love to join a team. And if you review the newsletter, there's a link to the web page that has the kids that are looking for teams. So we probably have about 1 week left before we probably start that process. If teams haven't stepped up by now, it seems unlikely that they would. So if you do have space, please take a look and consider it. So thank you for doing that. All right, so the team registration process for a regional event has been opened, and we have 106 teams that have already signed up. Not too many errors, so thank you, coaches, for paying attention to the instructions and following them. That is extremely helpful. So, for those of you that haven't done so, the window will remain open until Saturday, October 11th. And then we will shut down that registration website, the web page, and hopefully on that Sunday, everything will fall into place and we can start sending out assignment emails early in the week. The most likely hangup will be when, let's just say, for example, a tournament has capacity for 24 teams and 30 teams sign up for it. That's when I have to go through the comments section and make some judgment calls. I look at geography, I look at any comments that are there. And then some people will inevitably have to be moved to their second, possibly third choice, depending on the circumstances. Third choice is very rare, but it has happened in the past when there are unique circumstances, like all six of my teams need to be at the same tournament. So, anyway, that process will begin on October 12th. And depending on how complicated it gets, the expectation is to get the assignment emails out within a couple days. Um, and then with that assignment email, there will be the payment instructions. It is $175 per team to participate in one of the regionals. And then for those teams that advance, there will be an additional fee of $70, but we'll get to that when that becomes more relevant. So right now, it's just get the registration done. The link is in the newsletter. Follow the instructions, and hopefully everything will work out marvelously. Um, I believe that's all I have. Any questions from the coaches or participants in the call about the registration or anything else that you want to ask about administrative issues? And we'll give a couple more seconds here. Anything in the chat? Nothing in the chat. All right. Well, we've got our two judge advisors here. So Brian and Brian, anything from a judging perspective that needs to be
Right.
communicated?
Ryan, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay. I would just start off with a couple of reminders. I did check. There's no challenge updates this week. The last one was on the 16th. So I know Jay covered that last week's call. But also, do remember, the topic, and staying on topic for the project plan or for the innovation project. I highly recommend that, but also read the rubrics. Okay, the rubrics are on the first websites. If you need help navigating to them, questions about them, feel free to let us know. It's the same rubrics the judges use. So, take a look at that and what we're looking for the teams, from the teams. And then, yeah, I mean, one of the things that I, tend to stress to coaches is, practice the kids on the interviews, practice the whole thing. And we talked about this during the coaches training was, practice the whole thing, coming in the room, setting up, doing the presentation, having get some parents or your experts to ask the kids questions, and then help the kids, answer those questions more succinctly. Those are all good training things to do, great life skills. So highly recommend those. I miss any major things, Ryan?
If you want to just touch on the AI side of things, we've always mentioned that in the
Yeah, you want to
previous
do
calls. Sure. There's been questions in the asked on Slack, about AI. So we actually did answer them. There's a link to the first, their response to it. It treat it as another tool. So it's not the holy grail, but they can use it. We encourage it, but just teach them how to use it as another tool.
And the link to it is on the first, the BadgerBots website. If you look at the under the season resources, that's in the judging FAQs. There's also tips for the refs there, as well as I believe you have that linked in the newsletter, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so there is a question that came in on the chat. Is there a list of questions that may be asked during judging? The judges will ask questions. So after the students give their presentation, whether it be for the project or robot, they'll ask questions to try and get more detail from the students to either learn more or to, if you read the rubrics, they might be sitting at a 2 right now. They'll try to ask more questions to see, can we give them a 3? So a lot of the questions, there's not really standard questions that we ask. It's more based on their presentation. The one, if we see students that are a little nervous, we always throw a softball out there. Did you have fun this season? Explain how you had fun to try and get them to talk.
That's like the worst question for the kids. They freaked out about that question.
So unfortunately, it's really dependent on their presentation for the questions, but we do ask a lot of times, maybe a little bit more detail, not just outright ask them. We'll ask them in a roundabout way to see, to try to draw the information out of them. As Brian had stated earlier, a lot of times, get other teachers, get other parent members after they've practiced their presentation. They'll be able to ask a lot more questions, especially if they haven't seen it yet. They may have gone through stuff, and the students tend to forget that, they've worked on it so hard, so they might be leaving a few minor details out. So when you give them, or when they present to other family members, they'll be able to detect that and maybe, give them feedback that way.
But no, there is no master list of questions. It's really based on, we're trying to data mine all the stuff the kids learn, and as Brian said, figure out how far to the right we can move them. Any other questions?
Any update on the Waukesha scrimmage?
So the scrimmage, I'm working right now with a couple of rookie teams trying to get them in. But I'm expecting to open a couple more spots late this week, but not a lot. But right now I'm trying to get a few rookies in there into it. So if you're a rookie team and wanting to get in there, reach out to me, email or through Slack, and we'll try to get that done. But late this week, I'm anticipating opening it up for the remaining ones. To just general availability.
So with regards to scrimmages, there's also another one up in Neenah. They still have a few spots available if anybody's interested. And then there's another one that I'm aware of that I guess they're putting some details around it in the southwest part of the state, Hazel Green, I think that's what it is. Is that right? Either way, what I'm going to do in those specific cases, if there's just a handful of spots available, I'll send out emails to coaches that are within that county. If you're interested in this particular scrimmage. And so that way we still kind of keep it small and not necessarily publicize it to everybody, because that's not a useful use of time and resources. So we'll keep it narrow in those particular cases. So just pay attention to your email, which actually brings up another general administrative point. Every team has to have 2 coaches registered at firstinspires.org. And as it pertains to this topic, I can't email the coaches in a particular geography if I don't know who those coaches are. So please get registered at firstinspires.org, Coach 1 and Coach 2, so that you can get the most timely information and various opportunities that may be relevant to your team. Like I said, if you're not in the firstinspires.org registration for the team, I don't know you're there. So please get that done, and you have to do it anyway in order to participate at an official first event. And then, as you'll hear frequently as we get closer to the actual events, every coach, first and second, has to complete the youth protection program at firstinspires.org. That is a requirement for participation in any first event, and there are no exceptions. There's no wiggle room, nothing. It's simply just, we can't let that happen. So, as coaches, please get yourself registered and take care of the YPP so none of that becomes an issue.
The YPP
That would
does
be-
take a little bit of time. Okay, when things get busy, it takes longer. So get it done before it's an emergency.
And then I guess we'll make a pitch on, for those of you that want to kind of see how the inside of the tournament works, we're always looking for coaches and volunteers to judge. Obviously not at the tournament that you're participating in, but at another tournament. It's a pretty invaluable experience, might open your eyes up a little bit on how the process actually works. That could ultimately help your team. So I can promise you a lot of our teams that advance, their coaches are judging at other regionals. So there's definitely a high correlation there. Those of you that don't know how to volunteer, you can just go to the firstinspires.org website, log in, and actually, Brian, you know the website better than I do. You find the events, FLL events in Wisconsin, and there's a volunteer tab that should allow you to, follow through and sign up. I'm sorry, that's a very vague description.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, you log in, you have your dashboard. There's a volunteer tab. Click the volunteer tab. There's a button that says volunteer. Click the volunteer button, and then search. The easiest thing is, put in your zip code and a range or whatever. Be careful where the reset is on their filtering system. Sometimes I get myself confused and end up clearing the filters. So just kind of play with it, figure out which event you're available to go volunteer at, click on it, volunteer, pick the role you want. There's a variety of roles there. Judging is obviously a great one. I tend to be a big proponent of that. But there's roughing and timekeepers and queuers and stuff like that as well. If you want to have maybe a less skilled or less, we call the skilled or the less skilled ones because there's not the training background to them, role, that's fine too. It takes a lot of people to run a tournament. So help us be helpful to the kids.
Did you guys talk about the password reset on the new first?
No, I was gonna bring that up, but if you want to do that, that's fine.
Oh, you can. I was just trying to log in.
Okay. Yeah. If you haven't logged in since
September 15th.
early or mid-September, first change their login system. So if you've already have an account, okay, and you try your password, it doesn't work, click on the reset password. It'll work you through it. It'll send you a password reset link and go through the password reset process. They changed the back-end system that does authentication. So you need to get reset through that. If you're new, obviously do the new button, or the register button. But if you've had an account in firstinspires.org before, but you can't get in because the password system's changed, just click on reset password. But it'll send you an email notification and a link to go click on to reset your password. So expect that's not a quick 2-second login thing. You expect yourself to spend a little bit of time getting that all navigated. Not hard, just all that stuff is, putz factor, it takes time. And I think we've soft shoot dancing enough that Jay finally got here, so that's good.
Yeah, now the party can start.
Yeah, it was rough, man.
I'm usually 1 kill in time.
All right, well, let's throw it your direction then. Jay Church, one of our 2 head referees for the state. Anything from the robot game that we need to talk about?
Just logged in 3 seconds ago. Actually, that's how I knew that the sign in wasn't working properly because I got stuck in the login. So no challenge updates. I don't think we have any questions on Slack.
Yeah, it's been a quiet week.
I don't know if that's good or bad. I guess we'll just take it as it is.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Nothing on Slack.
Any questions from the coaches?
Oh, here we go.
Yep.
There's one question in the chat. Our team is relatively new, but can a team use a second hub robot for the challenge project demonstration solution and not the missions?
For judging, I assume you're asking. Oh, for project demonstrations. Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's for the judging. Yeah, there's the judges don't track that. You bring it in, you can bring in 2 different robots, one for your project, one for your demonstrating your robot. You're talking about your robot. That's not a problem. Jay, you want to talk about
Sure.
teams that might want to bring 2 robots to a competition?
Yeah, no worries. So I'm sorry, I can't hear myself, guys. I'm running a little late. I didn't have time to get stuff set up here. So you can have, when you come to the competition table, you're allowed to have 1 robot or 1 brick, the hub, and your attachments and stuff. You can have more than one robot. Like you can have a backup robot, but the second robot or any other robot you have has to stay in the pit area. You're allowed to have as many as you want, and you can run separate robots on separate trips to the table, right? So you're going to have tournaments are set up for so you get 4 trips to the table. You'll have a first round as the practice round, which you'll get a score for. You'll be able to see what it is, and then you have 3 competition rounds as well. You can run a different robot in every single round, but you just can't change a robot during the same run. Sorry, same trip to the table.
Okay, and then the next question is, we are having an issue with the gears being released when hitting the lever. Is it a common problem or is it our model?
It is a common problem. We know about it. As our friend Amy Hardy said, after about 5 interactions, give it a nice hug, and it tends to work a little bit better. But we do know about it, and actually Amy's assessment is what we're going to be doing. We're going to train our referees and table resetters after every match to make sure we're squeezing that thing again. So we are aware of it. We know how it's supposed to act. If it doesn't act properly, we know what a mission model failure there looks like, and you'll get points for it. Just we'll do our best, but so I've had now 3 or 4 reports that it's actually exploded on a couple people. So. Yep. Can the team return to a station from a mission and physically move the robot to the other station to launch another mission? I'm going to just make sure I understand your question. Can you return from home and then you're asking, can you hand it over to the other side? Is that your question? We'll go over that anyway, just in case it's not. So if you return to a home and your robot is completely in home, you can't pick up and hand that robot across. You can never pick up and hand the robot anything out of one area to the other. So what we suggest, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can interrupt the robot while it's out on the field. If it's completely out on the field, you can rescue it to either side. Your kids just have to know, they have to have the understanding of where that robot needs to be if they plan a strategic rescue. And then the optimal thing to do is just do a straight program. So you can just run from one side to the other. So you won't be able to hand it across, but you can certainly program your robot to just drive across.
I threw that up on the screen in
Yep,
case
there you
anybody
go.
wants to
Thanks,
see it.
Did that answer your question, Eric, or was there some more nuances there that I missed? For that matter, you can't hand anything across the table. Okay. So once you're set up, your kids are on the red side and the blue side, and blue side kids have to stay on their side to come in and out and run missions. Red side has to stay on their side. Now that can change as well with your next competition rounds. But once it starts, the kid has to stay on the red side or the blue side, so they can only launch from those areas.
Okay, yeah, that was my question.
Yeah. So nothing can be handed across. We had a separate program that went straight across. Yep.
All right.
So
Well,
yeah. So Shara, we get that a lot, and the kids do forget that they have it. So there's a couple little really tricky things here. If they forget they have their straight program, they can rescue it to the other side. But if they're in one side, like say they're in blue and they're going across to red, if they launch that robot, they have to make sure it's completely outside of home and outside of launch, because the rules say if they touch it before it's completely out, if it's partially in, it has to go back to blue, right? So you got to make sure it's completely out if they want to rescue it across. Once it's
And the
completely
rescue,
out, yeah. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, go. I was going to say, with rescue, there's a penalty, right?
So the first one,
With token.
yeah, there's no point loss for precision tokens for the first rescue, but every other one there is like a 15 points, 10 points, 5 points down the line. So just have the kids. You might want to practice that, rescuing, to which side they need to, because if they do forget that they have that straight program, because there's nothing worse, right? They say they grab the robot, they bring it back to blue, and they're like, "Oh my God, we meant to go to red," and then they go to launch it to go to red. It doesn't get all the way out, and they rescue it. Now you've lost 2 precision tokens, and you're still in red. So just be real careful about how you guys are doing that. Any other questions about the robot?
There's one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in the illustration that's here, the two home areas outside the map on either side, we saw some of the videos online showing robots entering into that home area and still continuing on the missions. Is that
Sure.
is that normal and permissible?
Sure, it is both normal and permissible. So the only time the robot has to be relaunched in the launch area. So understand that the left and right strips are part of their home areas respectively. So the left side is part of the red home area. The robot can return to any part of home. It doesn't have to go through launch. It can actually go to the upper left corner there, and as long as it's all the way in the black area off the mat before they touch it, then they won't lose a precision token. And
Okay, so
further to your question, yes, a robot can come in and grab stuff out and just continue on as long as they're not touching it or they're not touching anything that the robot is touching. So if they're holding an attachment or they're holding one of these the flags, right? They can't just drop it onto the robot. The robot has to autonomously do that.
okay, so if something is being retrieved from the mat as part of the mission,
Yep.
as long as that item makes it into the home area, that is considered retrieved.
So if okay, I think that's a different question. So if something is
Okay,
retrieved from on the field and makes it in a home area, is that what you're asking?
right. That's kind of an addition to the original question.
Gotcha. So it needs to be inside, completely inside the home area, correct?
Okay, got it. Okay,
So the robot, like say you're going to get something from the field, the robot can push that into home, back away, and continue going. The robot doesn't have to be interrupted. Just
okay,
be cautious with that because people try to try to do a lot sometimes. And remember, if you have programs like that, one little thing happens on the front end, and everything
yeah,
down the line kind of gets out of alignment. So just be careful and make sure your kids have their contingency plans.
sure. Okay, that answers a lot of questions.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the more you practice, you'll run into these things. So just, use those as times to figure out how they're going to handle it.
Yeah, we suggest. I mean, you guys could coach how you want, but we suggest. I always suggested once you get so far into the season, when you're doing runs, do complete runs. Like do timed runs, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, run it all the way through. Because the kids will get used to being on that timer, and they'll know they'll know what to do if they're running out of time or what they're not. Kids like to grab stuff if they're not trained to be on that 2 minute and 30 second timer. They like to just grab it and reset it and start over, right? And they try to do that on the competition fields, and it's obviously not allowed. So
He's not talking about when you're practicing. He's talking about when you're, he's not talking about when you're programming, but when you're practicing.
right. So once you get closer to your tournament, set yourself a time frame where everything you do, other than programming, when you're doing your runs, you're doing your practice and your runs. Set yourself on a timer just like you're doing competition runs because they will build that muscle memory and they'll start grabbing the robots when they shouldn't, and you want to get them used to being on that timer.
Practice working under
It's-
pressure too.
Right. It's not bad to have the other kids cheering, making noise because
Right.
there's a lot of noise at the tournament. So the more it's like a real tournament, the more comfortable they get with it.
Absolutely. So I guess one other additional question beyond that then is, as items are retrieved from the play field, we've seen some examples where teams have used the robot and they've literally been staged with all of the retrieved items to go back into the arena area to be dropped off.
Sure.
So if those things are being retrieved to either of the home areas, once they've been successfully retrieved to the home areas, it looked like they were taken from them, put onto whatever that arm assembly was for when it was ready for the next launch to drop it off, and then it was dropped onto the robot at that time and then relaunched. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, so I'm just going to restate what you're saying and you correct
Sure.
me if I'm wrong. So they're bringing all their collectibles,
Yep.
all the little items. They're bringing those back to the home area, and then when
Yep.
they're ready to take it to the forum, they're loading it onto a sled or an arm or tray,
Yep.
and then launching it, driving it out, dropping that stuff off. Right?
Correct. Exactly. So
Yeah.
once it's been successfully to the home area,
Mhm.
then as part of who's ever going to be the next uh, uh, launch or pair of kids launching that robot, they're literally taking, in that example, they're putting those collectibles onto whatever means on the robot, and then once the robot is back home, they put on their attachment, whatever, and then they go and launch and deliver
Yeah,
to
there's
the
one
forum.
caveat there. So just understand what you're saying is correct, but understand that the robot doesn't have to bring these things back home.
Correct.
I know
Understood.
in your chain of what you're saying, you're bringing it back home, but for others listening, um, you don't. The robot doesn't have to bring the stuff back home. The robot is free to retrieve and move straight to the forum if it wants. But in your example, Eric, yes, and that is typically what happens. What you're saying is the typical. Do make sure the kids understand the no touch constraint, though, the no
Yes.
equipment constraint.
All right. Yep. Thank you for clarifying that.
Sure.
And it can only leave the launch area from the side of the home that's on that attached to that launch area, right?
Right. Right.
So those things can't be passed between red and blue though,
Yeah. Again,
either.
nothing. Yeah, nothing can be passed. It's yeah. It's kind of
It's in home. No,
yeah.
yeah, but
I did check for updates. There are none this week. So for
yeah,
new
I checked
teams,
before you hop on.
new coaches, make sure that every time before you guys start practicing, you have someone jumping up to First Inspires there and checking for updates. And sometimes they do judging updates as well. So make sure you're checking that. You guys don't want to be putting practices in, practicing coding or practicing project stuff into something that's been changed. So make sure you know um, the latest rule updates and make sure every kid knows them before you start. Any other questions?
Anything else from the coaches?
Jay, are you able to hear me or no?
Ken, yes.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm driving. I just want to ask one more time, just so that I'm not giving the kids bad information. Let's say I'm doing mission number 1
Uh-huh.
and I am not me, the robot, whatever. And I get the 3 pieces to actuate, and my brush in home is touching a piece of team equipment. Do I lose my 10 points for the brush?
You do not. So once mission 1 is completed, so and for those of you that don't understand what she's talking about, now we're talking about the no equipment constraint. So once that piece has been brought back home, it's assumed that you're going to take that to mission 14 then to forum. So
Okay.
it's now part of the forum mission and it's no longer part of the mission number 1.
Okay, so that is for any collectible that comes back, once
Yeah.
it breaks the home plane, you guys are making the call that that part of the mission is done.
Yeah,
Yes?
until we get further clarification, because we did ask this question.
Okay,
We haven't heard, we may not hear. You guys know how that goes, but that's how
Yep.
we intend to rule that. Once it's done, it's once you have retrieved it, and we're saying that your intent is obviously that's going to the next mission, and then the blue text under the no equipment constraint that says the rule applies when only the specific mission in the constraint. If the same mission model was used in other missions where the constraint does not apply, it can earn points as usual. So each mission model is evaluated separately within its respective mission. So once it comes out of one and you guys have retrieved it, now we're saying that's part of 14 because that's its next logical progression. There is no line that tells us where it is, so we have to. I do agree with you. Once it's home, we may evaluate that a little bit further because, like I just told Eric a few minutes ago, stuff doesn't have to come home,
right,
right? So what if the robot scoops it, takes it somewhere else and ends up touching? So we'll have to evaluate that part, but we will.
okay. And then if there is a change in strategy because first gave an official ruling or something like that, how much notice would we get before the next
Right.
competition? So let's say it happens between week 1 and week 2.
Yep.
Would week 2 still go by week 1's rules, or would it be immediately in effect?
No, there's always that moratorium. So if you're in your competition week, we don't hold the rule against you guys. We'll let the coaches know what the rule is in the coaches meeting and what the update is, but we're not expecting you guys to change because I mean some competitions in other areas go on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? So we can't expect you just on the drop of a dime to change. So it's always if you're in your competition week, that rule is not going to affect you.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
So Jay, you kind of alluded to it, but this, I got the missions up.
Yep.
You got this nice little,
Yep.
no brick graphic here icon. We want.
Yeah. So what that is, that's the no equipment constraint is what it's called. So any mission that you see that crosshatch and the Lego brick, that means that at the end of the match, when T equals 0, time equals 0, you can't have any of your equipment touching that model to score. And if you don't know what equipment is, it's defined as anything that you bring to the table with you. So that includes robots, robot, all your Lego pieces that you would, what people call attachments. There's really no attachments anymore. It's all part of your robot. So anything that you bring to the table with you is equipment. There you go.
So Jay, not to be obnoxious, but
No, go ahead.
I'll be obnoxious anyway. Let's say I'm on mission 1
Yep.
and I'm able to get the brush out.
Mhm.
But my attachment or part of the robot falls on mission 1 and I
Yep.
never do anything again with my brush.
Mhm.
Still, it's the break the plane of home, correct?
Yeah. So once it's removed from this mission, and I understand you're going for, and I like where you're going with break the plane of home with the brush, and it becomes part of the next mission. That may change to even be a little bit more lenient. It may be just brushes out on the table, but we have to
Okay.
clarify that. But correct. Once that has been activated and retrieved, and say your robot ends up touching mission 1 at the end of the match, it's just touching it, right? So you'll lose the points for the soil deposits, but you won't lose the points for the brush.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to understand the risk, right? So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I'm trying to become a ref someday. So I need to know these nuances.
Other questions? Feel free to ask.
So I'll throw out there just, you talked about the holding some spaces right now for the Waukesha scrimmage for rookie teams. I know a lot of rookie teams, even veteran teams, are saying, we're not ready at that point. Sign up for a scrimmage if you can get in one. It's a great opportunity. Come in. The judges know you're not completely ready, but it's a time to start getting the kids comfortable with the process. They can work with the judges, kind of understand the judges' position and feedback. We've had teams come in, pretty polished, and we've had teams come in with, we don't have a project yet. So, they can work with the judges through that process. And then it's also we really like getting them on the table with the referees to go through a match, even if they only have one mission, so they can just start to understand how things work and feel comfortable with the process and know what to expect when they get to a tournament. Plus, it's a great time to come and work with your team itself, but also with the other teams there. You can get some ideas and help.
Yeah, and at the scrimmages and stuff, the referees, we can give you guys pointers and stuff as well. So we're not going to tell you how to program your robot, but if we see that you're doing something that is going to be costing you points or something like that, we're more than willing to say, hey, do you know, this is costing you points every time you do that run. And we can point out things, and we won't tell you how to fix it. Like, we're not going to say, if you build this and then create this, it'll work. But we'll point out the rule and tell you where you're losing or what's costing you, if we see it. So
But if you're stuck in something, if you're stuck in something, there's other teams there that can
Yeah.
help out too.
Absolutely.
A lot of great resources. Now there's great resources in the Slack channel and in this call, so I'm not trying to diminish those.
I feel like I can bring up the fact that at least for our FRC team, we are holding a rookie only judging session. And we have 2 slots open, and I could open that up to 4 for rookie teams who might be doing a later competition. The rookie quick start judging we're doing is on November 17th. And there's a 6 to 7 slot and a 7 to 8 slot if there are any interested people. And if you can't get to Brookfield, we're willing to do Zooms as well. So if that's helpful to anybody who might be going to a later competition, we can open up some slots. The kids are now they're teenagers who are going to be judging your kids, but we find that the kids actually react better to the teenagers than to the rest of us. So, but a lot of teams have done better in competition, just getting that peer-to-peer feedback.
What
If there's
date is
any
that?
interest there. The 17th, it's a Monday
A
night.
Monday guy, yeah. Okay, cool.
For some teams, some teams work better on days than weekends. So just another option if that's interesting to you. If not, that's fine too. We can go with the 2 teams we currently slotted as well.
So we're seeing scrimmages pop up everywhere, just so you guys know. I'm trying to get contact with all of them that I can to make sure, well, as efficiently as I can, that when they're running table games, that they understand the rules as much as possible. I don't want you guys definitely do scrimmages. So I'm not trying to talk anybody out of that. Definitely do scrimmages, okay? But I want to make sure that you guys understand your rules, and if something doesn't look right, make sure you're checking your rule book, because not all scrimmages may not be up to date on all the official rules of how we're ruling things, stuff like that. They may not have official referees or anything there. So, and if you guys have any questions, just ask. And we are trying to get in touch with as many of them as possible to help sort out any questions they might have, or things like that. One contacted us today, so I did get a email back, Craig, from that one. But definitely attend scrimmages. And that wasn't meant to dissuade you from going anywhere.
Nope, highly recommended.
Yep. Even if it's a brand new scrimmage, even if it's just something where you're getting together with another team or 2 or 3, definitely. I mean, the kids, when they're launching that robot, the more they're launching with people watching and people they don't know, it can help them a lot. Because if you haven't been to a tournament, I mean, these tournaments can get pretty big and pretty loud, and it's so it's dark in there. The lights are lowered, and we have lights over the competition tables, so it's kind of a spotlight type of area for those kids. So if you guys can get them some reps with other teams, that'd be great. Judging only session. Yep, got it. Anything else,
All
guys?
right. Anything else? Well, we had a good discussion this evening. Thank you for all asking those questions.
Yeah.
We will have the recording of the Zoom posted in the next day or 2. And if there are any questions in the meantime, everybody should have any one of the Brain Trust's email, but you can always use me as a focal point at fllteams@badgerbots.org. And if I can't answer the question, I will certainly find the person who can. All right. So if that's it, coaches, thanks for your time. I hope you're all having challenging but amazing seasons, and we'll be back here next week at 7:30.
See you guys soon.
Have a good week.
Thanks for volunteering.
Bye.